The first time I saw Princess Orelai, she stood at the center of the luminal court, her silver hair floating in the artificial gravity like a halo of light. Her people, the Elendari, were a race of unmatched grace and technology, but known across the galaxy for one thing. They felt emotions differently. Some said they barely felt them at all. I was the only human on their world, a temporary envoy, a cultural observer. Really, that meant I was the one they sent to answer questions like, what is sarcasm? Why do humans laugh when nervous? And once, what's the purpose of dancing if it is not tactical? But nothing prepared me for the question Orelai asked me the night everything changed. We were standing in her private observatory, a circular platform made of polished obsidian, open to a sky filled with glowing star rivers. She often asked me there for cultural inquiries, as she called them, but that night, her voice was unusually gentle. Human, Daniel, she said, stepping closer. I seek knowledge that my scholars do not understand. Her glowing blue eyes studied me as if she were deciphering a rare code. What do humans experience when they dream? I blinked. Of all questions, dreams, I repeated. Why that? She looked away, a graceful tilt of her head, but strangely vulnerable. Because I had one. I froze. Elendari did not dream. At least, they weren't supposed to. Their neural architecture didn't support typical REM cycles. Their minds stayed awake even when their bodies rested. You dreamed? I asked carefully. Orelai nodded, silver lashes trembling. It was a vision, she whispered. Vivid, chaotic, emotional. And when I awoke, my pulse surged in ways I cannot explain. Her cheeks, usually pale blue, warmed into a soft violet. A blush. Orelai never blushed. What did you dream about? I asked. She exhaled slowly, as though the words were delicate and sharp at the same time. That is what confuses me, she murmured. Because when I attempt to speak it, this happens. Her cheeks deepened in color, and she abruptly turned away. Middle. A princess who should not feel. Orelai avoided the topic for 2 full days. Every time I approached her, she politely redirected the conversation. If I asked about her dream, we shall discuss it later. I require more analysis first. That is classified, temporarily. By day 3, the palace guards whispered rumors. The princess is malfunctioning. Her energy levels fluctuate. She isolates herself after speaking with a human. I hated being the cause of complications for her, but the Elendari never did anything halfway. If she was dreaming, literally dreaming, something was changing inside her. On the 4th evening, one of the palace attendants found me in the courtyard. Envoy Daniel, she whispered urgently. Her Highness requests your presence. Alone. When I arrived at the observatory, Orelai stood near the railing, facing the cosmos. Her posture was stiff. Too stiff. You came, she murmured, without turning around. You asked, I replied. Are you all right? No. The honesty stunned me. Elendari didn't admit weakness easily. I have run simulations, she continued. Interrogated my neural logs. Sought counsel from physicians. A deep breath. And I have concluded something troubling. She turned to me then. Her eyes were luminous. Almost too luminous. What did you conclude? I asked gently. That the dream I experienced was not random. It was not error. It was... She paused, visibly struggling. It was centered on you. My heart stumbled. Me? Orelai nodded. And whatever I felt during it is persisting. She took a step closer. Daniel, I require definitions. Clarifications. Terminology. Because my reactions are illogical. My energy readings spike when you are near. My breath shortens when you speak. My cortex releases chemical combinations my people should not produce. Her voice softened to a whisper. I am changing. She looked terrified. Not of me, but of what her own mind was becoming. Orelai, I said quietly, dreams can reveal feelings we don't realize we have. Maybe you're feeling something new, something natural. But it is not natural for my kind, she insisted. Elendari do not form emotional bonds like humans. We do not attach. We do not burn inside. Her hand brushed her chest, almost in surprise. But when you stand close, it feels like. She struggled to find a word, like a star igniting in my lungs. Her blush spread again, and I realized the truth. Orelai was afraid she was becoming too human. The dream revealed. Orelai, I asked, voice softer than starlight, what exactly did you dream? She swallowed a precise, elegant motion. Then she said quietly, in the dream, I was not princess. I was simply Orelai. And you were beside me. No court. No crown. No expectations. Just you. I stepped closer. And her gaze flickered to the floor. You touched my hand. That was all. But to an Elendari, physical contact held deep meaning. Their skin conducted bioelectrical signals. A touch was intimate, personal, symbolic. And, she whispered, I felt warmth, safety, and something I have no word for. Orelai. I woke, she continued, voice trembling, and I wanted the feeling again. I have never wanted anything like that. She lifted her face. And I do not know if that is forbidden. Her fear was real, raw. Orelai, I asked softly, do you want to touch my hand now? Her eyes widened. Her body stiffened. And then, her voice turned to a breath. I do not know. But her hand slowly lifted. Her fingers hovered inches from mine, trembling like a solar flare about to ignite. You don't have to, I said gently. Only if you want to. Her eyes met mine, uncertain, fragile, hopeful. And finally, her hand touched mine. It wasn't a human warmth. It was electric, gentle pulses like tiny comets traveling across our skin. Orelai gasped softly, eyes widening in wonder. This was the feeling, she whispered, from the dream. She stepped closer, breath catching. Daniel, why does this feel like truth? I swallowed. Because maybe it is. She didn't pull away. Not this time. The princess who feared herself. Word of her condition spread. Her advisors worried. Her physicians demanded to run tests. Her mother, the queen, insisted it was a malfunction. But Orelai insisted on only one thing. I wished to speak alone with Daniel. They complied only because she was heir to the throne. We met again in the observatory, but this time she paced restlessly. Daniel, she said, I have learned what this reaction is. My neural pathways are developing new connections, patterns only present during early evolutionary phases. Meaning? She looked at me with something like awe. I am becoming a bridge between human and Elendari traits. She stepped closer. And the catalyst is you. I exhaled slowly. So, what do you want to do about it? Orelai hesitated, then looked directly into my eyes. I want to continue dreaming. The words hit me like gravity. Orelai, I want to feel these human emotions, she whispered. With you. If you will allow it. I wasn't sure how to answer. She was a princess. I was a visitor. Our worlds were galaxies apart. But then she reached for my hand again, bold this time.